Congratulations, Wesley. Our next award of the evening goes to the Educator of the Year, who will receive a $1,000 grant to use for their classroom. To introduce this year's winner, I'd like to introduce first Ms. Sharon Anderson, the 2009 Educator of the Year, to introduce this year's winner.
Good evening. I've come to the frightening conclusion that I'm the decisive element in the classroom. It is my personal approach that creates the climate. It is my daily mood that makes the weather. As a teacher, I possess a tremendous power to make a child's life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis will be escalated or de-escalated, a child be humiliated or dehumanized. I'm the decisive element. Last year, upon receiving this award, this poem was sent to me by a teacher who read about me online. And when I thought about how to introduce someone I really did not know, this poem popped back up. Mr. Jarrett, you are the decisive element in your classroom. I want you to know that between the two of us, we have taught some of the same students because my students came from Midwood and then into West Charlotte. You are the part that I like to say that continued on an effort for all of our children. I read some of your quotes that have inspired me. You said, teaching is not a job or career to me. It's my purpose. It's my purpose too. This evening before I came in, someone said, I remember you from last year. You won. And I said, yes. And she said, you're going to pass on the torch tonight. And I thought about that. Mr. Jarrett, I'm not going to pass the torch on to you. I'm going to carry it with you because so many of our students need an excellent educator like you. Tonight is your night. Shine in it, believe in it, and hold on to your own words that you said to yourself and to so many people. I no longer measure my success in terms of dollars, but rather in student achievement. Mr. Jarrett, this is your night, and I will carry on this torch with you. Congratulations.
I was looking for the video. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. Let me say a few words, and I know that I may not have a lot of time, but I have a message to share with some folks here. But before I do that, let me first say that as I stand here, I continue to be amazed at the power of God's grace and favor running through me and in me. So I thank God tonight for all he has done for me. I want to also thank the Charlotte Post Foundation for this wonderful award. I am honored and truly humbled by it. As I look at my wife, I want to make sure I thank her for all of her support for encouragement, and for love. When I talk to my students about you, I tell them that I'm not perfect, but when I'm around you, you make me feel perfect. I love it. My son is also here, and I want to share with him, I want to tell him that he has always been my favorite student, and he's also my favorite teacher. I remember when he was born, he was 4 pounds, and I put him in my hand, and I looked down at him, and I knew at that moment that he would change my life, and you have. I am a better man because of you. And I thank you, and I thank God for you. My father is also here, and I want to thank you for helping me learn the lesson of forgiveness, because it had changed my life and the lives of my kids when I tell them our story. So I thank you. And yes, my kids, the hundreds and hundreds of kids who believed in themselves and they believed in my dream. See, I told them that even though only 28% of all the kids passed the U.S. History EOC in 2005, that one day we will not only close the achievement gap, but we will eliminate it. And last year, 92% of all the students in West Charlotte passed that test. God is good all the time. I have some other folks I want to thank who came to share in this celebration with me. My pastor, Bishop Alexander, thank you, and his wife are here, my church family. I thank you all for coming. I thank my principal, Mr. Jeffries, for coming and sharing in this moment. If I had more time, I would tell you a story that changed my life. And it's a story that talks about where I'm at in my journey. And it's a story that touched my heart. And if I had time, I know it would. I know it would touch someone's heart in here. So, okay. It's a story about a young boy and some starfish. See, one day he's walking on the beach. It's a hot summer day, and he noticed that a tide washes on the shore some starfish. And so as he observes the starfish, he notices that the sun is beaming down, and if something doesn't happen right away, that the starfish would die. So he decided at that moment to pick up the starfish, brush it off, and toss it back into the sea, giving it another chance for life. And as he continues tossing the starfish back into the sea, there's a group of men who gather on top of a hill looking down at this little boy. And they begin to laugh at him, saying, doesn't he know that he can't save all of them? Doesn't he know that every year at this time, the tide washes them up against the beach and they all die? Then later, an elderly man walked onto the beach where the young boy was tossing the starfish, and he said, young man, won't you go play with the other kids? You cannot save all of these starfish. And as the young boy began to walk with the man, he stopped, and he turned around, picked up a starfish, brushed it off, tossed it back, and said, I saved that one. Come on. And he began to toss it in. He began to say, I saved that one, and I saved that one, and I saved another. And then a young girl walked beside, and she joined in the fun. And then soon, the townspeople began to gather at the beach, and they all began to toss. And even the people on the hill came down, and they joined in. By the end of that evening, as he looked on the beach, all the thousands of starfish were tossed back into the sea because they saved their lives. See, I see myself as that little boy. And the starfish are my kids at West Charlotte. And the tide of poverty washes them ashore. The tide of low expectation washes them ashore. The tide of a poor education washes them ashore. But I'm there every day, and I pick them up and I brush them off, and I teach them how to read, I teach them how to write, and I teach them how to be better people, and I toss them into the real world. But like that little boy, I cannot do it all by myself. See, I need the townspeople, my community, to come down and to the beach where I am and to help save one and to save another. So if anything I've said today has touched your heart, here's what I want you to do. If you can leave your business card on your table, if you can write your name, your number, and your email, I will pick it up, because I need you to join me at West Charlotte. I need you to save some lives. I need you to save some lives. Thank you for your time. God bless you. You work real hard and keep your standards high. If you resist the negative mark of your faith, and even tell you,
Danny Jarrett, Teacher of the Year.
even if the cost is fortune and fame.
To the shock of many around him, this year's Teacher of the Year was quick to leave a lucrative entrepreneurial career and respond to a higher calling on his life to become an educator.
I never really wanted to be a teacher. I started off wanting to be a millionaire by the time I was 35 years old.
As Danny Jarrett puts it, teaching is not my career, it is my purpose.
And even though I achieved success and was headed toward my goal, I wasn't happy. So one day, after working about 60 hours in a restaurant, I got down on my knees and I prayed, asking God to tell me, is this what I'm supposed to do? And a still small voice told me to teach.
Where most great teachers stop at being great in the classroom, Jarrett's mission extends to leading the entire history department at West Charlotte High toward betterment by retooling the established curriculum.
When they tell me that one man can't make a difference, I disagree. Because what I did is I redesigned the whole curriculum to meet the kids' needs. I redesigned all the tests, I redesigned all the lesson plans, only because I wanted to prove to them that they are just as good as their white counterparts over at Ardrey Kell or Providence.
Has it worked? If increasing the end-of-grade test passing rate nearly 100% is any indicator, his performance has been flawless.
The job of a teacher is to create a thirst so that they want to drink, and inspire so they want to learn, so they want to better themselves. When I first started here in 2003, I did not realize that one day our kids will go from 28% passing the U.S. history end of course to last year 81%. Today we are on course to eliminate the achievement gap in U.S. history altogether.
Today, your community comes together to recognize the findings of your great experiment, that our children, like wheat to the sun, can liven up to divine cultivation.
I tell my kids, don't chase after the money. Chase after your purpose, and the money will come.
Thank you, Mr. Jarrett.
Congratulations, Mr. Jarrett. And many of you were still giving him the standing ovation, and maybe you heard at the beginning of his video that he talked about at first his goal was to be a millionaire by age 35. Well, as you can see, he is rich in more than money now. And our community is better for it. Thank you so much. And I'd also like to say there is another video of Mr. Jarrett and also a video of Wesley Brown. We have it on our website, WSOCTV.com, and click on family, and we have stories about both of them there, so you can see Wesley at work, where he works while still making that high GPA, and you can see Mr. Jarrett in the classroom and the magic that he does there.